A star golfer just made a decision that has the PGA Tour scrambling to adjust and fans questioning what's really happening behind the scenes. This wasn't an injury announcement or a long-planned schedule change. This was a last-minute withdrawal that makes no sense on the surface and raises serious questions about player health, tour demands, and whether the grind of professional golf has become unsustainable even for players at the peak of their careers. What did Sahith Theegala actually do that caught everyone off guard? Why does the timing make this so confusing and concerning? And what does this sudden decision reveal about the pressures facing PGA Tour players right now? Let's start with what actually happened, because the timeline and context make this situation so unusual. Sahith Theegala was entered in the Valspar Championship at Innisbrook's Copperhead course, a demanding tournament offering a $9.1 million purse with over $1.6 million going to the winner. This isn't a signature event with elevated status, but it's still a significant tournament where winning changes a player's entire season trajectory through prize money, FedEx Cup points, and momentum heading into the major championship stretch. Theegala wasn't just another name in the field. He's been one of the hottest players on the PGA Tour through the early part of 2026, with 3 top 10 finishes in his last 5 starts. More significantly, he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational earlier this month, a signature event that elevated his profile and confirmed he's playing at an elite level. Coming into Valspar, Theegala was sitting 3rd in the FedEx Cup standings, meaning he's not just having a good season, but is legitimately one of the defining players of the year so far. Then on Wednesday, just before the tournament was set to begin, Theegala suddenly withdrew from the field. No advance warning, no gradual build-up suggesting something was wrong, just an official announcement that he was out, and Sam Ryder would be taking his spot. And here's what makes this withdrawal so confusing and concerning. There's been no confirmed explanation given. No injury details, no statement about why he pulled out, nothing beyond the fact that he's not playing. If you're questioning why this matters so much, hit that like button and subscribe, because the details of this situation reveal something important about modern professional golf. What makes Theegala's withdrawal particularly strange is what he was doing just the night before. Tuesday evening, Theegala competed for Jupiter Links Golf Club in TGL, Tiger Woods' tech-enhanced indoor golf league. He wasn't sitting on the bench or playing cautiously. He was actively competing and helping his team secure a victory. So, less than 24 hours before withdrawing from the Valspar Championship, Theegala was healthy enough and engaged enough to compete in a different golf competition. That timeline creates obvious questions. What changed overnight that made him unable to play at Valspar? If he was dealing with an injury or physical issue, why was he competing in TGL the day before? And if this isn't injury related, what other explanation makes sense for a player in the form of his life suddenly pulling out of a tournament where he'd be expected to contend? The PGA Tour didn't expect this, because all the indicators suggested Theegala would not only play but potentially win. His recent form was exceptional. The course at Innisbrook, while demanding, suits his game well. His FedEx Cup positioning meant he had every incentive to keep building momentum rather than taking a week off. And there were no public signs of fatigue or burnout that would explain stepping away during what should be one of the best stretches of his career. For tournament organizers, Theegala's withdrawal changes the competitive landscape significantly. When you lose one of the top 3 players in the FedEx Cup standings from your field, it affects betting, markets, fantasy lineups, television storylines, and the overall quality of competition. Players like Matthew Fitzpatrick and Jacob Bridgman suddenly get more attention and expectation placed on them to fill the competitive void Theegala's absence creates. But beyond the immediate tournament impact, this withdrawal raises broader questions about player health management and tour scheduling demands. The PGA Tour's 2026 season has been relentlessly demanding, with signature events requiring top players to compete more frequently at elevated competitive levels. The addition of TGL adds another layer of commitment for players involved in that league, creating scheduling and travel complexity that didn't exist in previous years. Theegala's situation suggests that even players experiencing career best form are hitting physical or mental limits that force sudden decisions about where to compete and where to rest. If a player 3rd in the FedEx Cup feels compelled to withdraw from a tournament with no public explanation, what does that say about the sustainability of the current tour structure? The lack of explanation is particularly noteworthy because modern professional golf operates in a highly transparent environment where injuries get reported, schedules get announced well in advance, and players generally communicate their status clearly. When someone just disappears from a field without explanation, it creates speculation that's often worse than whatever the actual reason might be. Is Theegala dealing with an injury he doesn't want to disclose? Is this a mental health decision that he's choosing to keep private? Is there a family situation requiring his attention? Without information, fans and media fill the vacuum with theories. What makes this concerning from a tour perspective is the pattern it potentially represents. If top players are reaching points where they need to make last-minute withdrawals, despite being in great form, it suggests the tour, schedule, or competitive demands have reached unsustainable levels. That's not good for the tour's long-term health, for player wellness, or for fans who buy tickets and plan around seeing specific players compete. The financial stakes of this decision are also significant for Theegala personally. The Valspar championship winner takes home over $1.6 million, and even a top 10 finish guarantees substantial prize money. Theegala's been playing well enough that banking another six-figure check or potentially winning would have been realistic possibilities. Walking away from that earning opportunity suggests whatever prompted the withdrawal felt more important than the financial incentive to play. Golf analyst commentators have noted that Theegala's withdrawal follows a broader trend of players managing their schedules more carefully and being willing to skip tournaments even when form suggests they should compete. That shift represents players prioritizing long-term health and career, longevity over short-term results and earnings. But typically those decisions get made weeks in advance during schedule planning, not 24 hours before a tournament begins. The timing relative to TGL competition creates additional complexity because it raises questions about whether competing in both TGL and full PGA Tour schedules is actually sustainable for top players. TGL was designed to be a supplementary competition that wouldn't interfere with tour commitments, but if players are feeling forced to choose between TGL obligations and PGA Tour events, that suggests the two competitions are creating more conflict than anticipated. For fans who bought tickets to Valspar specifically hoping to watch Theegala compete, this withdrawal is frustrating and disappointing. Tournaments market themselves based on the strength of their fields, and when marquee names pull out at the last minute, it diminishes the experience for attendees who've invested time and money to be there. The tour's credibility depends partly on delivering the fields they promise when entries close. The PGA Tour's official response to Theegala's withdrawal has been minimal, simply confirming that Sam Ryder is replacing him in the field and that the tournament will proceed as scheduled. That's standard protocol, but it leaves unanswered all the questions about why this happened and whether it represents something systemic that needs addressing. What's particularly interesting is how different players handle similar situations. Some players are transparent about injuries and recovery timelines, posting updates on social media and keeping fans informed. Others, like Theegala in this case, choose privacy and offer no explanation beyond the official withdrawal notice. Both approaches are valid, but the lack of information inevitably creates more speculation and concern than transparency would. The Valspar Championship will proceed without one of its expected top contenders, and the tournament's narrative shifts accordingly. Instead of storylines built around Theegala's quest to win back-to-back signature and regular tour events, the focus moves to who can capitalize on the opportunity his absence creates. That's not necessarily bad for competition, it just changes expectations and dynamics in ways nobody anticipated when the field was originally set. From a broader perspective, Theegala's decision highlights the delicate balance professional golfers must maintain between competing enough to maximize earnings and rankings while protecting their bodies and minds from burnout. The PGA Tour operates year-round with minimal breaks, and even players experiencing great form need rest to sustain performance over entire seasons. If Theegala's withdrawal is health-related, then it's a smart decision that prioritizes his ability to compete in major championships and sustain his career long-term over one regular tour event. If it's related to other personal factors, then it's a reminder that professional athletes are humans dealing with life circumstances that sometimes require flexibility and understanding. What the PGA Tour didn't expect was losing one of its hottest players from a mid-tier event with no advance warning and no clear explanation. That creates challenges for tournament operations, raises questions about tour scheduling sustainability, and leaves fans wondering what's really happening behind the scenes. Whether this becomes a one-time anomaly or part of a pattern where top players increasingly make last-minute schedule decisions will be something to watch as the 2026 season continues. But for now, Sahith Theegala's shocking withdrawal from the Valspar Championship has created more questions than answers, and the PGA Tour is left adjusting to a decision nobody saw coming.